Hey everybody. Today we're gonna tie something a little different, a little heavier jig. I've got an 1/8 ounce jig head in here. Uh, we're gonna tie one that I can remember when I was a kid, called a doll fly. A lot of times you'd see a doll fly like hanging in the gas station or whatever, used to a lot of times. And the original was tied out of polar bear fur. Well, you know how that would be to get. So we're going to do this one on a little bit of craft fur. And it's just like a white or cream craft fur. This one came from Hobby Lobby, believe it or not. They always got a lot of under fur in them, some longer fibers. I always try to take that out, the old under fur. And this is going to have mallard cheeks on it. The size of the jig is so heavy because a lot of people used to use these for what they call a float and fly, which is basically just a floater over top of this. And I never really could understand why they called it the doll fly, because as you can see, it's clearly a jig. It's a pretty simple tie. I don't put any flash in it or anything. But like I said, this thing here is mainly for suspending, deep water, things like that. You don't want it real thick. You want to tie this fly pretty sparse. And sparse too. Sparse and sparse. The old red will just kind of give it a little compliment there. Make sure you got everything covered. I'm going to take a little bit of Sally Hansen's, put over that before I put my cheeks in. And what I'm calling cheeks is just a mallard feather that we'll put on the side here. Yeah, I think at one time in like Dale Hollow Lake, there was like some kind of record caught on the float and fly. And it's just a long leader underneath a float, 8 or 9 feet underneath a float a lot of times. Sorry about that noise. I got my fan on in here today. It was a little stuffy in here. Just now getting my electric bill back down from the winter. I hate to turn on any kind of air yet. It's been so nice outside. Fish are nesting around my area. And I'm going to have to put them on so I can see how to whip. I don't know why I can't remember that. About 5 or 6 good ones there. And you don't want it to move very much when that colder water. I've even heard of people taking and actually putting Vaseline on these things. I mean, I've never done it personally, but put Vaseline on them so that they won't move very much, you know, down in the water. You know, because it's for colder water. You know, when it gets hot in the summer, it's not that hot down underneath. And I tell you guys, that's on an 1/8 ounce jig head. I just painted the eyes. I mean, if you guys have never done it, man, the fingernail trick is awesome on when you paint your eyes. I mean, it really it will really do it. And eyes are expensive, so just takes a little while. You know, drying time and stuff for the eyes. Those are just paint. Maybe sometime I can show you how I do mine. There's sure nothing to them. Just a dot and a dot. Let it dry and come back and another dot. Use a lady's fingernail tool. And that's pretty much it. I mean, that is the floating fly, the doll fly, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, my dad still calls everything a doll fly. Anything that's got a furry tail on it, he calls it an old doll fly because, you know, he was just used to that from 60s and 70s, you know, up into the probably late 70s. And I don't know, a lot of people might not have saw the doll fly or the floating fly. I think it's pretty slick. It'll catch a smallmouth and you know, bass, and a lot of guys use it up north for smallmouth. I don't know. I think it's a pretty slick pattern. I mean, I like it. Thank you, guys.